Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. This is Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield and Transport Evolved episode number 187. Except it's not Transport Evolved episode 187. And as some of you have noticed, we haven't put up a post from this Sunday. Here is why. So this is kind of an apology. On Sunday, we had essentially what is the perfect storm for Transport Evolved. We started off with a pretty rubbish day for me and a pretty rubbish day for Mark, which meant that we weren't 100% on our game. We didn't notice some of the signs that would have indicated that there was a problem, and so we just carried on regardless. And there was a big problem with our setup that day, and it sort of culminated in a big failure across the network. When we record Transport Evolved, we actually have multiple layers of protection. The first one is we record all of the audio, and I can actually show you if I move the camera. I know you don't like shaky cameras, but this here is our mixing desk, and we record all of the audio on our mixing desk into Logic Pro on our main machine. And that records all of the different channels from all of the different people. I can actually show you. Look, here it says Nikki, Mark, guest 1, guest 2. That's sometimes guest 3. Firewire Cart, Newsmac, iPad. So we record all of the streams of audio directly into Logic Pro. Or Logic 10 now, I think it is called. That allows me to mix down after the show is finished all the audio to produce the final finished audio podcast. If you listen to that, we also stream the pre-mixed version of that audio out on Mixler. Okay, so that's two ways of recording the audio. So we have an unmixed way, and then we have a streamed way, which is recorded off-site by Mixler themselves. So we actually have a third way because we can bring that audio back down onto our machine if we need to. When it comes to video, we have video from all the different machines on the system. We have my camera, my main camera there, which on Sunday was causing problems because the TSA broke this, which is the camera mount that I use. There should be a little special screw in there that holds my camera on it. When the TSA searched my checked bags in the US when I came back from my last trip there, they broke this. They also broke my tripod. This is my tripod. They broke my tripod so that my tripod now doesn't, the top of the tripod comes off, which is a bit of a pain. I show you, the top of my tripod now comes off completely. So there's supposed to be a screw cap in there that they received. So TSA broke some of my equipment, which is one reason why we're a bit late. And then we had problems. With the internet, which I'll come to. Video. We record the video in 3 or 4 different ways. I bring in audio from everybody. I bring in video from everybody, and I mix that down on my machine here as well. The video is then streamed out to multiple places. It's streamed out to YouTube. It's also streamed out to Justin.tv because some of our German viewers can't view YouTube live stream because of licensing problems in Germany and the equivalent of the PRS stuff over there. And we stream to disk, or we record to disk, uncompressed video from the event. Okay. Now, that all works fantastically if the internet connection, which we have here at Little Collie, which is actually in my house, you can see that's my kitchen. If that video, if the internet's working properly, the video is streamed out perfectly. We have 125 megabits down and 12 megabits up, which should be enough for most people. However, on Sunday, the internet connection was working at about, I think it was 8 down and a half to 3/4 up, which, as you can tell, is not enough to run all 3 Skype connections or 2 Skype connections both ways, video out to 2 different places, and audio out to 2 different places. Now, the Mac itself prioritizes the connections. The audio, which is the lowest bandwidth, that went through just fine, but the video had problems all the way through. It kept dropping its connection to Ustream, live Just Intuit TV. It had problems with the YouTube, and ultimately that caused the program that I used to send all this out, Wirecast, to crash. And when Wirecast crashed, it stopped all 3 streams simultaneously. It stopped the recording prematurely, and it caused a kernel panic, which, for those of you who don't know, means that it's the equivalent of the computer having a nervous breakdown. The only way to recover from a kernel panic is to reboot the machine. By the time the machine had rebooted, we had lost all of the streams, had died. We'd lost the connection. My internet connection by this point had deteriorated really badly and wasn't even properly connecting. And so we had no recording of the show, and we had no live broadcast of the show. The consequence of that is that there is no live version, there is no recorded version of Transport Evolved 187. It will go down in folklore as one of the only shows where you had to be there to watch it live. We had a couple of people who watched who said they tried to record the show when they realised things were going a bit haywire. We've tried to patch all of those together, and frankly, that's going to take a huge amount of time, and the quality of it is not up to what we at Transport Evolved want to give you. So we're going to reschedule our guest, because the wonderful Deb Seymour is lovely and she deserves to be on again in the very near future. We are not going to be able to give you a version of last week's show. We're going to keep the post up. Please discuss the stories in the comments below. And this video, the one I'm doing now, is the one that we will put in its place. If you're listening to this on iTunes, this is essentially the equivalent of it. We're going to double down. We're going to sort out our network. We're going to sort out. We're going to try and devise some tests to make sure that we can prove that our network is happy before things work. I spent about an hour and a half on the phone to the cable company on Sunday evening after we finished the show, or after the show was aborted. They put me onto second line support, and I woke up the next morning and the connection was back and fixed. So there was a major problem with the connection, but we're going to need to devise a test to prove that the network's fine before we start, and it's not just a download, it needs to be a continuous stream. So if you're a network engineer and you've got any ideas as to how we can test to make sure that works, that would be great. We can't afford a second line or anything like that. And as for the stuff that I was recording to disk, I forgot to mention, when the machine kernel panicked and brought everything down, it didn't properly close the files that it was recording. So therefore, none of the files that were recorded to disk were complete, and therefore they were seen as being corrupted by the file system and you couldn't open them. So please keep subscribing, please keep listening. I'm really sorry. I give you my apology from the bottom of my heart, and I know Mark's very disappointed that we weren't able to do it either. But at the end of the day, it was a perfect storm and there was nothing we could do. We'll see you next Sunday. We'll be back at the usual time, and please pass this around. Take care, and don't forget to plug in.